before him. And so the Septuagint is from Hebrew to Greek. That's what it was. Masoretic text. This is the Hebrew text of the Old Testament in its present form, and it's based on the Masorah, the textual tradition of the Jewish scholars known as the Masoretes. One key contribution that these scribes made was the addition of the vowel pointing to preserve the pronunciation of the vocabulary of the Hebrew text. So if you look at Hebrew, you'll see these lines that are drawn. Then you see underneath it little chicken scratches, little groups of 3 dots or 2 dots or little this and that. And you say, what in the world are all these little dots and dashes and stuff that's going on down here? And those are vowels. That's the vowel pointing. If we didn't have any vowels in Tom's name, what would be our options? T-M, could be Tim, Tom, Tum, Tam. Any of those you prefer to Tom? Not really. You can see why that it was important that they put vowels into the language, which up to this point was just consonants. In order for you to be able to correctly pronounce and even know what the word was, you needed that. So that's what happened. A theocracy is a rule by God. I'm going to learn that. Monarchy is a rule by a king. The Abrahamic covenant. We need to know about the covenants of the Bible. It's a major theme that runs through. The Abrahamic covenant was an everlasting promise of God to bless the physical descendants of Abraham with the land, blessing, and the nation. And the major chapters are going to be Genesis 12 and 15 and 17. The Noahic covenant was the everlasting promise of God to never again destroy the whole earth with a flood. That was in Genesis 9. Okay. Now, we are heading to I'm going to have you turn the lights on, if you would, for a second, because we're not going to use that screen now. And I want you to take a look at a map that looks like this. You'll turn a few pages. I want you to look at this map right here. Wait a minute. Did I jump ahead? I did jump ahead. That's in lesson 2. Okay, we're not there. We're not there. There's a page that has yellow on it. I want you to go to the page that has yellow. And yes, and very, very little, very few words on it. A page with yellow. We're going to look at the chronological arrangement of the books of the Old Testament. Okay? The chronological arrangement of those books. Now, if you start at the logical place to start on that page, clear at the left side, there's no number to it, but it has yellow. Anybody not have a yellow page? Okay, here are some yellow pages. Would you do that? Got a few back here. Marge, do you have a yellow page? It doesn't have to be yellow, except we like color. If you don't have a yellow page, there's a similar one, and it just is, yeah, there's that one. I wanted to go to the yellow page because I want you to fill some things out. Okay? Yeah, that's fine.
I have a white one just like
Yes, you do. Does anybody not have a page that looks like that? Don't have any? Okay, no blank ones, nothing. Yes. Okay, she's got one. Anybody else not have one? Okay. All right, I'm going to start clear at the end because this is going to be the sequence of the books and how they all fit together. And we're going to have fun now. Okay, first book would be probably what? Genesis. Yeah, Genesis. So in that first yellow box, we're going to write the word Genesis. Clear at the far left-hand side of your page. Genesis. All right. Now, the next yellow box, right next to it, what do you think that is? Exodus. Put Exodus in the second yellow box. You might want to turn it sideways because you could write the word out like Lori is doing. Okay, Exodus. Genesis, Exodus. Now, don't go to Leviticus. We're going to skip that one. The next book that moves us along historically is what? Numbers. So Numbers is the third box. All right? And then we have a little skinny yellow box. Real skinny one. What do you think that is? Joshua. 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 Then we have a great big yellow box. What is that one? Judges. Judges.
The whole thing.
The whole box is Judges. Okay? Judges. Now, after Judges, you have kind of a normal shaped box again, normal size. What do you think that is? 1 Samuel. There you go. Thank you, Nancy. All right, and right next to that one is going to be 2 Samuel. 2 Samuel. And the next box is split, isn't it? It's still one book up until the line, but it's split. And it's split because something happens, very important happens in that splits history. Okay, so that is the book of 1 Kings. That whole thing that is split. 1 Kings. Okay? Then you have another, and this one is actually now, it's two boxes now, but it's one book, but you've got two complete boxes here. And that is 2 Kings. It covers both those. You could write 2 Kings right across, so it covers both the boxes, but 2 Kings covers those two boxes. Now, then you have a word printed after that. You have two words, Assyria and Babylon. Okay. All right. And then after that, you have a gap after Babylon, and then you have three boxes that are stacked. The top one, in the top one, write Esther. Esther. In the second one, write Ezra. And in the third one, write Nehemiah. Nehemiah. Okay, now we're going to go back and we're going to catch the second layer of yellow boxes. There are two yellow boxes we haven't put anything in yet, aren't there? Okay, the first one is kind of a really small box, isn't it? And then you have a real long box. So the first one, the small little one, is 1 Chronicles. 1 Chronicles. Be 1 CHRON, period. Okay, and then the second box is, the second yellow box, the long one, is 2 Chronicles. Now, I want you to notice something. First Chronicles covers the same material as what other book that you've written in? Second Samuel. Second Samuel and First Chronicles are about the same thing, the kingship of David. Then you have Second Chronicles covers the same material as what? First and Second Kings. So if you're reading through Kings, First and Second Kings, if you go back and read Second Chronicles, you say, I already read this. Where did I read? Oh, it was back there in First and Second Kings. I read this. Okay. Now, that completes all of your yellow boxes, doesn't it? Now let's go back to the beginning under Genesis. You have a box there. And that box is Job. J-O-B. Job. Job was written probably during the time of the patriarchs. Who were the patriarchs? Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph. So those are the patriarchs. And the book of Job was probably written during that time. Language and style help us out with that. Then you have another box that connects to the book of Exodus. What is that? Leviticus. Leviticus takes place at Mount Sinai. It doesn't move us anywhere historically or geographically. We are at Mount Sinai and we get the instructions that are included in that are in the book of Leviticus. We get it right there at Mount Sinai. So, where does Leviticus happen? Mount Sinai. Good. Where does a lot of Exodus happen? Mount Sinai. That's where they're going to get the law and build the tabernacle. Mount Sinai. Okay, so then you have another book and that's next to Leviticus. What is that? Deuteronomy. It doesn't move us anywhere geographically or historically. It's just a repeating of the law that was given by Moses to what generation? The second generation of Israelites that came out of Egypt. The first generation perished in the wilderness. Their kids get the law now from Moses. And that's Deuteronomy. Okay, now let's see. Then you've got the period of the Judges. And during the period of the Judges, you have the book of Ruth. A beautiful love story in an otherwise very black time in Israel's history. All right, so that's the book of Ruth. Then you have another book, and this one has two lines that are pointing up to what books on your chart? Okay, 1st and 2nd Samuel and 1st Chronicles. Now, above your yellow boxes, I want you to write something. Above 1st Samuel, before you fill in that box, before you handle that box, above the book of 1 Samuel, I want you to write the word Saul, S-A-U-L. 1 Samuel is about the kingship of Saul. And you know what is interesting? If you were to read through the book of 1 Samuel and the kingship of Saul, a great deal of it is about him chasing David. A great deal of the book of 1 Samuel is about him trying to kill David. Not a whole lot about his kingship, but a whole lot about him trying to get rid of what he thinks is his rival. Okay. And then above the word 2 Samuel, above the book of 2 Samuel is the kingship of David. And above the first part of 1 Kings, write Solomon. Just at the first part of that. You notice it splits. It splits when Solomon dies in 931 BC. 931 years before Christ. At 931 BC, Solomon dies, and his son takes over, says, I'm going to raise taxes, and the people say, no way, you're not raising taxes. We're going to secede from the Union. That's what they do. And so the 10 northern tribes secede from the Union. And so the northern 10 tribes retain the name Israel, and the south takes on the name of the largest tribe, which is Judah. So you have Judah and Benjamin in the south. those two tribes, and the rest of them are